South Auckland crate champ, architect, playwright, poet, and two-time heart attack survivor.
If I get to Christmas, I'm lucky.
Now, rising like a phoenix, Luke prepares for his next big fight. The Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover, raising money for Mental Health Awareness Week. Tune in to YouTube, Twitch or Facebook to watch this living legend sleep like a baby. The Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover, live stream this Friday from 10 p.m. Luke Dallow, inspiration.
How cool is that? Turn it off, turn it off. How cool is that, everyone? The Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover is an actual thing. Welcome to the show. Nice to have you on board. It is Wednesday, the 29th of September, 2021. Thane Kirby here without Sophia Mantell. She's feeling a little bit sick tonight, so not joining us, but we have got a huge show for you, like lots of guests. It's jam-packed, which I'm very happy about. Very shortly, we're going to put a call through. Oh, let's just go over who's on the show tonight. Every Wednesday, we've got Bomber Bradbury coming to the show, so he's there. He's going to be talking politics and whatnot. Gael Baldock, I hope I got that name right. Gail joins us very shortly, and she's talking about outside Greyland Primary. AT are at it again with all the road cones, and it just looks ugly around there. So we'll talk to her. Nigel Godfrey, this guy is right behind the fantastic Miss Universe NZ, so that's cool. We'll talk to him. And also Tish, the one with the red hair. Tish is going to be on the show playing the steel pan tonight. She's part of a Steel and Beats little group, so it's going to be a pleasure having her on the show tonight. So you know what I'm saying? That is a very, very full show. Luke Dallow will join us very shortly. Benny Mack, fingers crossed. He didn't come in for the small talk before the show. So, we've got some pretty big things launching tonight. I'll play you this because I want you to get right behind it if you're just joining us for the first time. Have a look at this.
Talkback with Thane and Sophia wants to put you in the draw for a box of Lava Pie pies. Here's the incentive. We want to grow this beautiful community. All you got to do is share the show. Share the show on Facebook. One share is one entry into a delicious box of Lava Pie pies that will draw this Friday.
So go feel free now to share that show, and then we'll be all the better for it, and we'll get the word out there faster. That's a genius idea. We're now calling Gail, everybody. Gail hasn't got the technology to join us live here on the show. Oh, g'day, Gail. It's Thane here. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Thane.
Very good. Now, you're our first guest. I was on the Facebook page. What was it, Ponsonby Road Cone, or what was the page?
Ponsonby Road adopts a road cone.
That's right. Okay. And then we had a post come up saying the cost to date of the trial is $352,462. Can you give us a bit of context about that?
Okay, so Auckland Transport have decided in their latest way of changing our streets to do these, they call them play streets, innovating streets. They've got a number of nice sounding, it's propaganda, the spin, and they've got a way of making it sound like they're making these streets more people friendly, is what they like to say. What they mean by that is taking away car parks, narrowing streets, putting the street graffiti / artwork on the streets, and basically they're doing this in our main arterial roads. So there's a number of places that these have been decided and supposedly consulted on. The way they consult, the usual council way of consulting, which is very, very few people see it, and they don't really listen to the feedback. So this current one is Surrey Crescent, where they've installed their design, which so I've got a 30 plus years architecture, so I know how design works, and their designs are very unsafe. Right. So that's the spending there.
And it looks pretty hideous too, doesn't it?
Well, I'm also an artist, so I can appreciate that sometimes it's appropriate to have art, and that could work. But the examples I've had so far certainly don't work. I mean, as an artist, if I was wanting to do some sort of painting on the street, I would probably use some of the surrounds, like there's the Isaac opposite it, and the Isaac's got some concentric circles on the side of it, so some patterning of that in white could have worked a lot better than these angular patterns in blue and green, which they're pretty amateur.
Yeah, they don't look good, but how do you spend $352,462?
Well, the thing is that they have a series of consultants that they go through, and they don't follow their own process, which should be that everything is health and safety checked before, so on the design, before they install it, and then a health and safety check afterwards. There's a number of really bad components in this.
Right, okay.
There's over 100 hit sticks. So those are those bright orange sticks that if you bash into them, they bend and then spring back again. So there's, this is a children's primary school. The pedestrian crossing is used twice a day when children arrive at school and when children leave school. Then randomly for various people other than that. But that's the concentrated time.
Okay.
And
I've got a question from Luke Dallow. Wait me a second. Luke, your question?
Hi, team. Welcome to the show there, Gail. I've just come in a bit late there. Gail, I've got one question for you.
Yes?
What's the cost of a child getting run over?
Well, the most important thing in this is to keep children safe.
Correct.
And there are ways of keeping children safe that don't involve narrowing roads, that many hit sticks, this road graffiti, confusing signs, little pimples on the road that make it really, sure, they slow the traffic, but the way they've set it out is incredibly dangerous. So the most important thing here is to keep children safe.
Yeah,
100%. Because, as people get used to this, though, because I live very close to it, and I go over those little they just popped up one night. It was quite funny, like you say, they just popped up. But then I was going, oh, now I go over this probably 30 times a week. And I go, I'm getting used to going over there. So I'm actually preparing my mind, training my mind. And because I'm big on, there's so many little kids get run over and pedestrian. This makes it a very, very safe zone. So
the safety figures that have been released by Auckland Transport in an official information request show very few. I think it was 2. I don't have those figures in front of me at the moment, but there are very few accidents that have occurred along there. So there's one more recently, which was after when they're partway through putting the trial in, by someone speeding around another corner, but not to do with the pedestrian crossing and not when children were around. So they use this saying that it's about safety. Now, there are definitely things that you can do that would help with safety. And one of those is to have the light signs that come up beforehand. One of the best things they've done in their design is a big red pattern across the road with huge words saying school. That's a really good way of indicating that there's something coming up.
But I don't know, my thing, Gail, is would you have that in New York City or any other big international bloody city in the world? Look at it. It looks terrible. It looks like a racetrack now. God.
Yeah, it does. But you take that sign, the way they've located that sign, so there's that silly little pimple that they're now calling road cushions, that someone spray painted the word Pippa on one and Northy on the other, pointing out the council and council. Somebody spray painted that. Anyway, those little pimples, that one of the first little pimple is directly before the big school sign. Now, there's a time period when you're driving of how you react to things. There needed to be a minimum of 3 metre distance between the pimple and the school sign, because you read ahead of the road of what's happening. And if there was, instead of a pimple, if there was what they're calling cables across the road, and there was a distance then before there was this road sign, you would read the two together, whereas you see the road sign, and I've done it going here, and there's so much happening that you actually forget that the pimple's there and you don't really see it. And also in one of the side streets, they've got a rubber mound instead, which is something that can just be screwed in place and taken out. These changes are meant to be temporary.
Gotcha.
And then depending upon what works and what doesn't work is when they'll change it again, which is why they've got those very big, ugly planter boxes. But I think there's a really important point that's getting lost here, and that's that this is actually about social engineering. So when I spoke with Simon Wilson from the Herald, opinion writer, and I said one of the worst things is the taking away of the parent parking, his response was, that's the best thing. Because we want parents to get their children to walk or cycle. How about having a conversation with the parents?
Yeah,
why can't you have a school meeting where the parents are invited along to talk about safety, and then you reinforce your walking buses and make sure that they go where they're needed? But the busier we are in our lives, parents are trying to keep their children safe, and so they're taking them to school. So what are they doing now that all the hit sticks have blocked off their parking? They're driving along, they're stopping in the middle of the road, pushing the kids out the back door, and then shutting the doors and carrying on. Now, that's a lot less safe for those children than parking and the parents escorting them to the pedestrian crossing, particularly the smaller children.
Yeah, totally. Hey, I've got to leave it there. I've got another guest waiting in the wings, but it's nice to have a conversation with you. I love that you're so proactive in our community, and we'll definitely talk to you again, Gail. Thank you very much.
Gail, thanks, Gail.
See you. See ya. There you go, Gail. Interesting. I mean, she cares about the place, and she's got a point. AT are notorious for spending money.
Oh.
I mean, spending money. They love it.
Spend.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a guest coming up, everybody. I think we're getting to Bradbury now. G'day, mate. How are ya?
It's a sting, is there?
Yeah, man. We got stings now. Welcome. Yeah. You're there.
How are you?
Good, man. Sophia not here tonight. She is sick, poorly. She's going to see a doctor tomorrow. She's got a sore throat and stuff. But so we got Luke Dallow with us, and Luke's got a beautiful shiny light behind him. What's going on there, Luke?
G'day, Bomber. How are you, mate? I've got my little halo going now, and now you can really see my face. I don't have that little light that comes down. Got my little twinkly fingers. Bomber, but it's all about you, mate. Tell us about what's happening out there, brother from another mother.
Oh, politics, eh? Where do you start?
How do you follow the road thing?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, let's kick it off. National have got a plan, Bombs. National's got a plan to eradicate the COVID. How did you break this down?
Their plan is to have 4,500 people die before Christmas, which I just think, it's ambitious, sure, but is it really?
Can we do it?
Go? Can we kill 4,500 people before Christmas? All I got for Christmas was COVID, thanks to National. Look, this is just nonsense. They're pretending to put together a plan that will somehow overcome the frustration and the anger and the impatience that we all feel from this bloody lockdown. And that's all they're doing. They're just trying to manipulate that feeling rather than actually putting together any solutions. I mean, if you look at what they've put forward as proposals, It's all stuff that Labour have already announced that they are doing, but just a couple of weeks earlier. And it's all pre-based on this idea that, oh, we never want to go back to level 4. We never want to go back to level 4. Level 4 is so bad, no one can survive. And that's all a given, and that's, yes, we all feel that frustration. But the naked reality is if this thing bloody gets away on us, it's over in terms of being able to hold the health system together and being able to go back to anything that's even remotely close to normal, you know? None of that's going to change.
It's such a political thing now. I mean, fucking COVID is COVID. You know, let's move on to other things. That's how I feel, you know? It's like, just deal with COVID, live with COVID, get your vaccine. I'm vaccine pro. Move on. Let's work on other shit.
And I agree with you. We've got a housing crisis going on out there, a poverty crisis, and an inequality crisis. All of these problems are mounting and getting worse. And we're trying to get through and find out what the bloody, you know, where is the light at the end of this tunnel. But until we have vaccination rates of 90%, we're just not going to be anywhere near being able to get back to normal. And we will continue to have to use these types of lockdowns because no one is going to green light 7,000 deaths. No.
Yeah. Got a message here. Man has never got rid of a virus. We have to learn to live with it in a safe way.
100%.
Oh, and look, and let's be clear, it's endemic. It will become endemic. There's no way we can keep it out. A virus as transmissible as Delta will get in. There's no way it's going to. And you're absolutely right. We have to live with the virus, and that requires a 90% vaccination rate across the country. It requires the infrastructure for annual shots, because let's not pretend that this is a one-off, right? It's going to be like flu. You have to go in and get your bloody flu. So we need the infrastructure built for that. Then we also need to be able to have an MIQ processing system that allows more New Zealanders to come into the country, because let's be honest, we're leaving a lot of Kiwis out of our own country. They're home, and we can't get them in because we don't have the capacity or infrastructure for it. And then fourthly, we need to build the hospitalisation. We need to build the hospital capacity to be able to cope with those high levels of sickness. So we absolutely need to live with the virus. But there's shitloads that needs to be done before we get even close to that.
Yeah.
Now, Bomber, if we got rid of poverty, mate, we would get our 90% vaccination up, guaranteed.
If
we helped get rid of poverty, because New Zealand's got a huge poverty problem, you would get our 90% vaccination up. It's such. I can't understand why they can't understand this.
And this is the absolute truth, isn't it? To beat COVID, we need to battle poverty. You look at how quickly it is spreading through those South Auckland overcrowded, very large families. You've got a shadow overstayer community down there who are frightened of coming forward because they might get kicked out of the country. It's gotten into the gangs now. I mean, I think this 45 uptick is quite a serious deal, and there's no way we're coming out of level 3 as soon as we thought we were. I think it's going to be. I think the first week of the school holiday is going to be level 3, and fingers crossed it'll go into level 2. But if those numbers keep going up from 45, we're in lockdown till Christmas, man.
We're tough, mate. What about the polls? Weren't they interesting, the polls? I was very interested to see Seymour come up. Where were the Greens? I didn't see where were they? Where were they in the polls? I didn't.
Greens are completely irrelevant now. Look, Winston Peters is on 3%. If he is on 3%, 18 months out from the next election, he's definitely 5% on election day. If you look at New Zealand First voting tracking over the years, you know, they pick up 3%, 4% in the campaign. So if New Zealand First does come back in, that makes the Greens absolutely politically irrelevant going past 2023. Labour still astronomical on 43%. I mean, yes, they took a hit of 3 points, but 43% in an MMP environment is still incredibly high. National continue their death spiral. The fundamental problem for them is it's just an age dynamic now. Anyone under 60 who is right wing's voting ACT. They're not voting National. National have got an aging electorate, and they're not building on it. Seymour and his constant on point bang, bang, bang. What you've seen with him getting to 14% is ACT is now seen as the right-wing values party, the way the Greens are seen as the left-wing values party. And he's built it on issues that actually have quite a lot of universality to it.
Totally.
And the issues with free speech. That's where he really picked up. When he started championing free speech, I think a lot of New Zealanders now, they self-censor on social media. They're fearful of a backlash. They're fearful of getting jumped on. And so ideas and arguments about free speech actually matter. Those are ones that actually impact day-to-day life. An active champion free speech. And unfortunately, the activists on my side of the fence, the identity politics ones, who just make such a song and dance, the woke, about, cancelling anyone who doesn't think the way they do. And if you've got any questions about something, you're the most racist person in the world, and you're transphobic and you're sexist, da-da-da-da-da. That song and dance. Because so many of us are doing that on the left, it's spooking the middle, and people are going, oh, Jesus, I'm out of this. And so if we don't focus on things like poverty, which is where our focus should be, if we're not focusing on things like education, broad-based ideas and broad-based things that people can buy into on the left, then you just end up alienating a large chunk of voters. And this is why ACT are 14%.
Yeah. Do you think a deal could be made between ACT and Labour? National?
Between ACT and National? Oh, look, yeah. I mean, certainly that's their natural home. They could form a government. There's no question about that. I mean, but National would have to sort of get their numbers up a bit. The reason why Judith has been doing her crazy, just the loopy stuff, is because their strategists and their tacticians are telling them the easiest way to get 5 points to get back up into the 30s is take them from ACT. So she's been out there bloody blowing the dog whistle, trying to bring back ACT voters, reactionary, angry ACT voters over to National. But it's not working. It's just not working.
Well, you know what? Sorry, Luke. If Judith rebrands, I don't know, another dye in the hair. I don't know, because, it is a little bit of a look that plays a part of it. I don't know what the percentage is. It's terrible, but it does. And also, if she keeps up having 1 p.m., 12 p.m., 11 a.m. press conferences nearly every day and starts clawing back some headlines, even if they're outrageous a little bit or a bit crazy, at least she's getting in the on the radar of New Zealand, which she needs to do. People have forgotten about her. She's a piece of driftwood out at sea.
That is the strategy, and that's the tactic they've been trying to do. Unfortunately, the more the electorate sees of Judith, the more they're terrified of it. They're just like, right. Whoa, love, and it's death. I've talked to people who do market research, and when they've got the focus groups, and there's an audible hiss when her photo comes up. I mean, that's not a good sign.
Now tell us, John Key's little thing just on poll day, that was an interesting, did he know about this? Because he got a lot of, pat on the back in the polls of National, there's something there, or is John Key making a comeback bomber, or what do you think? Well, not a comeback, is he's developed a great National party when he was there, well, to the voters, obviously. What do you think?
And also a supplementary question, Bomber, sorry, can he come back? Is it in the books that he's allowed to run a second time? Is that a possibility?
Oh look, if he wanted, there is no question whatsoever. If John Key wanted to rerun again or come back into national politics, he would just put his name forward in a National Party seat. I think he would unanimously get elected, yes. And he would be back in Parliament. There's no restrictions on the amount of times you can be a prime minister or a leader of a political party. We don't have those kind of restrictions in New Zealand. But in terms of why he was doing it and where's that all coming from, I think the reality is there is a group of New Zealanders, very white, very, very rich, quite exclusive, CEOs of some of the big companies, and these are the circles that he swims in. And they are genuinely worried and genuinely frightened that a large chunk of their asset in Aotearoa Inc. is being wasted or destroyed because the stupid sleepy hobbits of Muddle New Zealand actually quite like living in a hermit kingdom, thank you. They like not having hyper tourism. They like that there isn't international students everywhere, making it impossible for them to drive or get rentals. They like that there isn't migrant exploitation for jobs and wages are being forced up and unemployment is going down. They quite like all of those things. And the other thing they quite like in New Zealand is not dying from COVID. So how do you get a whole bunch of people back into the fields while there are tornadoes still going? And that view of corporate New Zealand, who are very anxious that a lot of the neoliberal philosophy of individual work and you do well and you'll get ahead and all that nonsense, that's all fallen by the wayside. And New Zealanders actually quite enjoy being safe. Thank you very much. And I think that what John Key was voicing, what he was channeling, were the concerns of that exclusive group. And he was also doing it at a time to admonish and have a go at Judith Collins, saying, hey, love, this is how you do it. These are the issues you should be focused on. This is what you're supposed to do. I don't think he would be mad enough to get back into politics.
No.
Because it's a terrible game. I think he enjoys his money, but he's voicing the concerns of very rich New Zealanders that Kiwis have gotten used to living safely without COVID. And they're all trying to come up with this argument, how do we open the country up and get the sleepy hobbits to accept thousands of deaths?
So do you think he was being the Yoda of the Force to the National Party below?
That is such a great analogy. Yes, that's exactly what he's going to do. He's being the tribal voice.
Yeah, fantastic. Guys, I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'll be back in a split second, everyone.
Businessman, South Auckland crate champ, architect, playwright, poet, and two-time heart attack survivor.
If I get to Christmas, I'm lucky.
Now, rising like a phoenix, Luke prepares for his next big fight. The Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover, raising money for Mental Health Awareness Week. Tune in to YouTube, Twitch or Facebook to watch this living legend sleep like a baby. The Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover, live stream this Friday from 10 p.m.
Oh man, great. Excellent. It'll be a good broadcast. Luke, you should run for Parliament.
Well, I was going to go for Mayoralty. Tell me about any international politics, Bomber, while you're there. What's happening in the international world?
I'm going to say Trump is on the rise. I'm going to say, Bombs, I've had nothing but the Herald going off and suddenly CNN kicking back in action and everybody streaming Trump's little, 50-minute, 60-minute rants.
Is this Twitter on?
Huh? Yeah. It's absolutely on the cards that he is going to springboard off an election season which is coming up next year for the midterms. The midterms are where America sort of votes in everybody else. It's like they vote for the president once every 4 years, but then midterms they do the Senate and parts of the House of Representatives, and a very convoluted system. But what it means is you're going to see a whole bunch of Republican candidates standing across the country, all looking to Trump for endorsement to be able to get those numbers to win seats. He will do a tour of the nation endorsing. He'll be hinting all along the way, do you think I should run from 2024? Of course, the crowd will just go mental and go, yes! What's hurting Biden is the scenes and the images from Afghanistan that really, really, really shook America. they all feel that they are a superpower. The way the country was overrun, their army completely defeated by a ragtag bunch of hillbilly Islamists with a death wish. That's really hurt Biden in his standing. And of course, the mess he inherited from Trump with COVID. You've got there's still 2,000 dead a day from COVID in parts of America right now. So they've barely struggled through that. And of course, next month, this is really what's going to be interesting for America and where Trump will come in, I think. Next month, there are a whole bunch of ominous signs suggesting there might be an absolute meltdown on Wall Street. Now, October is always a bad month for Wall Street. That's when the Great Depression hit. That's when all the great crashes have occurred. But there are a whole bunch of uncertainties going into next month where you might get a sudden run on the market and there'll be a correction. That will be devastating to the American economy. And when you have really tough times economically, you've got this plague going on at the same time, you've got this loss of mana and face. Trump's people could just absolutely cream this midterm election season next year. And if he does, he will almost certainly run for 2024.
I reckon his online stores tills are ringing hot, aren't they? That he'll be the hottest cap for Christmas and flag and whatnot. Oh God,
They
make so much of it. It's insane.
Yeah, it's like a football club, really, isn't it? I mean, the not the pedams, the what do you call it? The shirts, the
they've got everything. Key ranks, you name it.
the little dolls that go like that.
Yeah, they got a lot. Hey, we had a guy on from a marijuana, like a medicinal marijuana, cannabis, let's call it the correct business last night. And you're allowed some medicinal cannabis in the system, but you got to have a doctor's certificate and about $300 to $400. But do you think any party would give it another run? Can it come back? Legalizing marijuana in this country?
I'm consistently advising the Labour Party and the Green Party to do that very thing. The problem we've got with the medicinal cannabis market in this country is that bloody Labour have done exactly what they have done with the supermarket duopoly. They've only allowed a couple of very small players to dominate all the standards throughout the market. We're not even able to get loose leaf, overseas, and anywhere you go overseas and you're buying medicinal cannabis because you've got nerves or you're feeling depressed or whatever nonsense reason to get the stuff. They'll just sell it to you in the buddage, right? They're not even looking to do anything like that in New Zealand. It'll all be synthetic. It'll all be boiled down. It'll be some, drop. They're taking the most... they're taking the best parts of cannabis and completely throwing it away. I think that it's going to require the Greens, and I think that if they are smart about it, but this is a big question because the Greens have all the strategy of bloody moss. If the Greens are smart about it, they will make a legal cannabis market, a regulated one for recreational. They will make it part of the deal to go into government with Labor, because one of the interesting things in the poll this week was that Labor won't be able to govern alone. They'll need the Greens, and if they need the Greens, they've got some power.
I might text Crusher now and say, "Hey, Crusher, here's a little bit of a when you just legalise marijuana, you might get a few more votes in the poll."
Oh, overnight. I think a modern National Party absolutely would do that.
100%.
They're a free market party. They believe in lightly regulated markets. They should be championing cannabis, but their stakeholders are too uptight. They're all alcoholic bloody dairy herders.
Last question from Luke. Luke, what do you got?
I didn't have a question, but I
got one. Sorry, while we're here. Simon. He's come out in the paper saying, I'm not interested in being the leader again. What's he doing kicking the tires and giving an oily massage to the National Party if he's not really in the game in it to win it?
Of course, he's in the game, in it to win it. But the way you do these things is that, I'm just good. I'm happy being a member for Tauranga. The member for Tauranga is very happy being the member of Tauranga until the member of Tauranga is begged by his caucus members to save the party and to pick it up, and only then would the member of Tauranga consider it.
Quick fire, Bomber. Peppermint or hokey pokey?
It's the dance of the veils. That's what he's doing.
Gotcha.
Quick fire, Bomber. Hokey pokey or peppermint?
Or hokey pokey.
Sausages or steak?
Stay.
G-string or boxes?
Personally or on others?
On others.
Oh, G-string.
GC. Asia or USA?
Who or USA?
Asia or USA for a holiday?
Oh, America.
Of the apostles, Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, which one?
John.
Thank you. There you go, Thane.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you very much for the quick fire, mate. A pleasure having you on every Wednesday for a nice half hour, and we'll have you again next Wednesday. And what are you up to after this? What is Bomber going to do?
I'm actually off to read Simon.
Oh, look.
Wow.
I'm gonna.
It's a soft cover, I see.
Nice, isn't it? That's a picture of him.
Wow, how do you like that? Good luck with that.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right, mate.
Got a
See you
tip?
next time, mate.
See you,
See you
Bomber.
soon, mate. Fantastic. Bomber Bradbury.
See the tip?
Oh, yeah, we've got a tip coming through the races a bit later on, everybody. Luke Dallow, Japan, race 7, horse number 7. Okay. All right, we'll be back here with our next guest. Don't go anywhere, because this is going to be good, especially if you're interested in live television and entertainment television. We've got a guy who's been doing it a very long time, and he's resuscitated one of the most successful shows of all time. We're back after this, everybody.
Talkback with Thane and Sophia wants to put you in the draw for a box of Lover Pie pies. Here's the incentive. We want to grow this beautiful community. All you got to do is share the show. Share the show on Facebook. One share is one entry into a delicious box of Lover Pie pies that will draw this Friday.
All right. Hey, Nigel Godfrey, welcome to the show, mate. How are you?
I'm very, very good. I did enjoy Bomber. He was good.
He's good. He's always a good
I didn't
chap.
think I'd enjoy him, but my God, he made a lot of sense.
He does. Oh, hey. Yeah, he does. He also puts a little bit of pizzazz into politics. He's got the head movements going. He's got the voices like a light and shade in there.
Yeah, you can see he needs a haircut, but other than that, he was great. Medical, just a point. Medical. The referendum had nothing to do with medical marijuana in this country, because I actually shot a profile of one of the only companies that's got a license to do medical marijuana in this country, and they're done in Hawke's Bay. The issue is they have massive hoops to jump through before they're able to actually produce it for New Zealand. There is no one in New Zealand producing medical marijuana at the moment, because we've got a company, I can't for the life of me remember the name, but they're down in Hawke's Bay, and very good they are too. But the hoops to jump through to get the product licensed are enormous.
Nigel, Luke Dallow, how are you? You well?
I'm good. Now, Luke, did you used to have Sales Street?
I did, Nigel. I did have Sales Street.
And we had a fantastic party there.
Oh, whereabouts? When was that, Nigel?
After I produced Telethon in 2009.
Yes,
and we had our after show bash there. It was fantastic.
that's right. And we did Arjo Rock's Breast. We did those down at the remember those? We painted them.
No, I wish I did, but I don't.
I remember them because I went down there just to have a look.
Lovely.
At the art.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay, great. Hey, so you've been in television a fair while, both behind the camera and on camera too, right? You're an actor.
Yeah, I am. I started out as an actor when I was my first television was when I was 12, and that was in the UK. at Elstree, where they now make EastEnders, actually. But I was working there back in 1977. Great story. I was working in the next studio to Bing Crosby. He was doing his White Christmas 3 months before he died. And one day I wandered in. They used to leave the doors of the studio open because everybody used to smoke back in those days, which was quite bizarre. And I wandered in one afternoon, and there was Bing and David Bowie.
Wow.
And they were recording Little Drummer Boy. And I just stood there, my 12-year-old little self stood at the back and watched them record the Little Drummer Boy, which has now become very, very famous.
You had no idea that history was being made right in front of you.
I had none. And it was great because it was it still is a fantastic studio, one of the oldest studios in the UK. It used to be a film studio. But you'd wander around, the Muppets was made there. You know, you'd wander into a studio, there was Bruce Forsyth. And I remember getting into the lift once with Twiggy, David Bowie, and Bing. And that's just thinking, whoa, this is
now we're ready to go.
Yeah. Hey, we are raising a little bit of money by putting a few bets on their local. So we're just going to break for a race in Japan. Is that all right, Nigel? Sorry.
Nigel, after number 7 to get in there, mate.
Number 7, Nigel.
I damn well should have put some money on, but I haven't got an account.
As we head around that
Number
first
7's
quarter,
our tip.
Elroy
It's a bit dusty, isn't it?
coming together. Mind you,
I did at 7 wins because I'd have put my money there.
Jesus, look at them.
And into the
They're a little bit
backstretch
short,
they go
those
with
horses,
Elroy
aren't they? They're
holding on to
Japanese
that early
horses.
lead up against the rails. As Livy Face falls back.
I wonder where the commentator is.
There by Windflash.
We're having an American commentator, isn't it?
Rosal now making a run.
Yeah, it is.
Is
Well, where's
Castle
my
Brave.
Chinese, Japanese
Castle
lady?
Brave runs
There's number
right to
7,
the
number
top
3.
now past
With
Elroy.
3rd at the moment.
Then comes Livy Face.
Can you
We've got
tell?
a place or a win.
Back
On the
behind is
nose.
Windflash, Claradore, and way back at the back is
That'll give
Mind
us
You
good
Naz.
return.
As we head up into that third corner.
Look at this.
Rebounding
This
is Elroy
fantastic.
on the inside, holding the lead. Castle Brave, though,
You can
right
actually
alongside
tell,
it.
but well, there he
Livy
is.
Face
He's getting
moving
the
up
ride
into
on there.
third.
Look at him. He's catching his
As they
tail.
stretch out their lead at the top into fourth. Now comes Claradore.
Get up
Rebounding
there.
as well as Mind You
Get
Naz
us. Good on you,
coming up
boy.
from the back.
It's classic watching this frame by frame.
Come on, lad.
Corner. Still a lot of action
Come
yet
on.
to come.
Here we go.
And
Come on,
now
this is a
they're
tip
racing,
off.
heading
This is
for
a
home.
tip.
Inside Elroy, outside.
Get in there, boy.
There is
Come on,
stop
Stephen.
the photo, I can tell.
This could be our first win.
Claradore.
Get up there, lad.
Joking. Come on, Stephen.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Come
Come
on.
on, Stephen.
Come on, boy. Come on.
We're doing it. We won.
We've won.
That final half of furlong.
Woohoo.
He's going to get that second win in a row.
Yeah.
Livy Face.
Fantastic. Well done. That's
All right.
great.
Back behind Mind You
Oh,
Naz.
well
Oh,
done.
turn that off now. Thank you, Luke.
you go.
Fantastic. Shit.
Lovely.
Wow. The adrenaline. Sorry.
Oh.
This is like Radio Pacific back in the day. You know, they had to break for the racing and stuff like that once upon a time. Did you say someone said Twiggy, then someone said Bruce?
The
Not Bruce.
Muppets.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, the Muppets, General Hospital, Dave Allen, all of them were done at Elstree, and I spent 3 months there as a kid, so it was great. It's good fun. And then that was the start of the career.
What was TV like in the 1970s there, Nigel? What was it?
Well, I mean, different. It got a lot more clunky because, you know, the equipment was a lot bigger and the quality wasn't as high, but the expertise is very much the same, you know.
So was it true when a newsreel came in, you'd run up and down the country? That was a true news.
I started off my career when I ended up behind the camera at Thames Television in Euston, where we used to do Thames News, which was the regional news for London. And in those days, news was shot on film. So they would go out with a film camera. So let's say there was a fire in the city. They'd shoot it, they'd get it back. It was the same here in New Zealand. And then they would turn around. They would have to develop the film. And then once they developed it, then they could cut it. And then they put it through the telecine machine and get it to air. And they could do that in an extraordinarily small amount of time. Basically an hour to take it out of the camera, develop it, edit it, turn it around. Incredible skill levels. But also we had stills photographers. So when we couldn't get film turned around quick enough, so if there was a fire at, say, 4 o'clock in Tottenham Court Road, we'd send out a stills guy who would take stills. We'd then develop those 4 stills they would be put in the studio, and we'd cut between the stills while the newsreader did a voiceover.
Right.
I liked like TV shows like Only Fools and Horses, right, where you'd have the studio, the classic, or Are You Being Served, classic studio setting with the lights burning the iris out, and then when they'd cut to someone leaving, going to film, you know what I mean? And it was an actual film.
Yeah, and
that
you
was
normally you in those days, because you shoot between 8mm sometimes, mostly 16, but a lot of the comedy was done on 8. It was very low quality. And so when you wrote those, you would write you'd never have someone go through a door. So you'd have them exit a door, then go to a wide shot, and then come back to them, because otherwise it was just too stark. But I was watching a series last night, Rumpold of the Bailey, which I loved, which was made by Thames.
Show.
And it still stood up. The writing stood up. The acting stood up. Yeah, it's 4:3. It looks different. But if the writing and the acting's good, those shows still stand up today.
See,
I suppose that's.
I've been watching some old Generation Game. I love that guy. Wasn't he? Bruce
was. I never ever met Bruce, but he was my absolute idol. He was.
Yeah.
There was one thing about Bruce, was that he had this ability. He would always look down the lens. So he'd be talking away like this, and then he'd turn into, well, I don't know, and he'd talk straight down the lens. I never knew how they did it, and then I realised that he had a camera that was always recording. So in those days, you'd cut multi-camera, and you'd cut the different cameras up, and you'd do a live cut. But you did have the ability to record. Now we can ISO record every camera. Then you would have to choose very carefully what you ISO recorded, as in isolation record. Bruce's isolation record was his camera. So he always knew that if he turned to camera and threw a line, it was there, and then they could re-edit it later if the director didn't nail it. But the director actually nearly always nailed it.
I loved old TV shows from England. Mine were Rumpole and the Bailey. Loved that. Royal Family, which was those UK
Royal
geezers
Family.
sitting on the couch, smoking, drinking, and watching TV. And I love Bullseye. I've been watching it on YouTube.
Yeah, there's a bit of bully. A bit of bully.
Yeah, what a great show.
You're only going to get your BFH, which is your bus fare home. Now, hang on, just wait a couple of minutes, because it's going to take me 2 minutes to count this out. All right.
That's all right. Yeah.
I actually have a Bullseye tankard.
And also another guy that I try, the name just, the silly guy, the stupid guy, who's the guy in the 1970s? Bit silly. He was a bit dumb.
Spencer, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Crawford.
Some mums do have him.
Who lives up in the north.
He was a clever actor.
He was. It wasn't originally going to be him. Some Mothers to Heaven was actually written for Ronnie Corbett. But Ronnie Corbett turned it down. And so Michael Crawford took it on, and the rest is history. He did all his own stunts. And that particular writer only ever really got one hit. I can't remember who the writer was, but it was a great hit. I mean, it was a great show.
Noel's House Party. Have you ever had anything to do with that show?
I knew a lot of people who worked on Noel's House Party. That was by the time Noel's House Party came out, I was out here. I mean, Noel's House Party was, and Noel Edmonds, of course, lives out here now as well. That was a great show in its stunts. I mean, it came a bit unstuck at one point because the stunts went wrong, and it was taken off air for a while, and then it went back on air, and they were supposed to wind the stunts back a bit, and then another one went wrong and someone died, and then that was the end of that. But the best part of Noel's House Party for many people, of course, was Mr. Blobby, which were those, the original prankster television, which just, again, though, it's about people. It's about people who've got guts when they commission. They're not just taking an overseas show and just saying, "Oh, yeah, let's do that." They've got guts. They'll go with it. They'll try it. And one of the biggest things for the BBC was Television Centre, which was built, in the late 50s, opened in the 60s, and it was just a central hub of people who just, they'd meet in the bar, they'd meet in the club, they'd have an idea, and you just got an incredible nucleus of people. That's kind of gone from television around the world. You know, we had great people commissioning, we had great people in control, people who'd made television, and that's kind of gone now. You know, we're controlled by accountants, controlled by ratings. Yeah, you want to make something that people watches, but you don't just make it because it'll work. You make it because it's got something for the audience.
And that's it. CFOs definitely. CFOs control television now, don't they? I mean, their budgets and what have you. But I'm just going to New Zealand television. I was doing work experience when, like, Julian Mounter was the CEO of TVNZ, and I worked on some shows like 345 Live. Look, I was the guy who was an intern, work experience fellow, After Two with Jason Gunn in the same studio and that type of thing before he went off to Christchurch.
Were you thingy?
No, I wasn't. No. There's a guy who's thingy, but it was they had a lot of in-house television. Kids TV was so memorable because it was live in the afternoon and it had a little bit of personality.
I actually don't think that any of us who worked, and that was when I was working at TVNZ, I don't think any of us who worked through that time at Television New Zealand really realised that we were working in a pretty good time. Julian was the Director General. John McCready, who, you know, is a fantastic commissioner and head of programming. We were making a lot of shows. You know, we made Blind Date, we made Sale of the Century. We made loads and loads of Wheel of Fortune in-house shows, and then that just all stopped.
Why?
It stopped for a number of reasons. Reality television sort of came in, and reality television is. A lot of people kind of can't grasp what reality television is. Reality took over from drama in a way, because people would you could create drama within this reality television. And so it took over from documentaries. So documentaries were observational. The difference between a documentary and reality television, and in TV speak, it's known as unscripted drama, is that you can manufacture it. With documentaries, you can't. There are rules. You don't start switching around edits and making people say things they didn't say.
Yeah, right.
That's all out the window with reality. I mean, the completely bizarre part, it's called reality. There's no reality about it at all, because you make people say things they didn't say. But it's a lot cheaper than drama. So what it does is it gives you the characters that people will talk about around the water cooler the next day. You know, that they'll go, oh God, I love this, I love that, I love that person, I love that person. And that's what you used to get with drama. Sadly, our commissioners have kind of lumped entertainment into the same area as reality, which I don't know why they did that. And we just stopped making entertainment.
When Andrew Schusterman was running 3 at one stage, and he had basically they were just making stuff. Tons of companies were making stuff for 3. And I think their strategy was to make a whole lot of live stuff and see how they ended up. And then just kind of like any of the other holes I'd fill with reality. But they were really going off there for a second before the money ran out.
I worked on a lot of those shows. And, you know, at one point we were all at 3 thinking, you know, making shows with 3 like X Factor, you know, So You Think You Can Dance. And thinking, gosh, you know, this was all what TVNZ did. TVNZ had a terribly, terribly lean time of it. I don't know why. I mean, I think for me, what they all missed was that was all they had. Local is all they have. They've got nothing else. If they don't make local, they've got nothing, because they ain't going to compete with any platform. I mean, Discovery, if it gets his act together here, will take TVNZ out because they've just got so much content. So the only thing you can do is go local, but they've never really understood that. They've never really cared about it. And it's very much in them now. It's just, give them that now, give them that now. It's like a candy store. Give them that now because that's what they want. And you just think this has got no longevity.
You know, I reckon at TVNZ, when they started disestablishing their sports department and losing all the rights to Sky, it all fell over for TVNZ. And now they're trying to claw them back slowly. And it's just, they have to do co-ops with people. It's just, you know.
Well, it's about, I mean, the sports in the major degree was about money. TVNZ couldn't, I mean, being fair on them, they could not compete with Sky's money in regard to sports. They just couldn't do it. And so you know, that was how it was going to go. That's how it's gone worldwide.
Okay.
So
one has to question why sports needs that amount of money, because it's sure as hell, you know, it goes to overpaid athletes and at the top level and overpaid executives. I mean, it doesn't cost any more money to stage a rugby game than it used to. It's just everyone gets paid a lot more.
Exactly, Luke.
Nigel, I just want you to look at the screen here. This is one of my favourites. I love this actor here. Can we bring that over there?
Yeah, of course, mate. Here we go.
There we go.
Oh, Nelly, start on that row over there and work your way down, will you?
God. Yeah.
What is it?
It's Stephen Lewis.
Back to 14,
Stephen Lewis, who was Blakey in On the Buses. All right, Blakey. I'd have to say, though, not one of the best sitcoms I would ever say. I think On the Buses was a London weekend show, and it kind of the BBC really nailed the sitcoms. Thames and London Weekend lagged behind and made sitcoms that just weren't quite as good. They made some good ones over the years, but in general, the BBC held the ground on who makes the good sitcoms.
London Weekend with a
No, that's Thames.
Oh, was it Thames? Oh, right. Yeah,
London Weekend was originally set up by David Frost. LWT, yeah.
Hey, and I remember because it used to go to the Rainbow after that, and then used to that Rainbow show. Remember that was
Thames. So Thames made Rainbow.
Hey, just moving on to you and your career with the latest Miss Universe New Zealand. Now we had Megan Alatini on. We love her. We're going to get her back. She was a judge on that, and you kind of reimagined it, or we reworked it for the modern time.
Yeah. So I'm Miss World. I now I'm the license to Miss World, as opposed to Miss Universe. What happened was somebody was posting something online, and I remember it was a mess. It was a mess about a winner. The winner wasn't eligible to win. She was South African. She was on the close-up, I think, and there was a whole big furore about it. And I wrote a post that basically said, look, love or hate these shows, if we're going to do them, can we just get them right? Because I was in London, I think, at the time, and I saw an article in the Telegraph that just was taking the piss. And I just thought, this is embarrassing. So I said, look, if we're going to do these shows, can we either do them properly or just not bother? And somebody wrote on that post, well, you make big shows. Why don't you do it? And I wrote, well, all right, then I will. And I got in touch with my business partner, Jack Yan, down in Wellington. We put together a proposal. We sent it to New York, and we got the license. And then I went, oh, God, what have I done? And so at that point, I thought, right, what am I going to do with this? Originally, I was just looking to get it back on the telly, make an entertainment show. And we had to include swimwear with Miss Universe. And, well, Miss World, we don't. But with Miss Universe, we had to include swimwear. But I said, I don't want to have swimwear on the stage. It's weird to have girls in tiny bikinis wearing heels strutting around a stage. You want to see that, go to a club. But we'll do the swimwear, but we'll do it on a beach. But the timing, when we'd taken over the license, meant we were heading into winter. So I said, that's fine. We'll take them all to Thailand.
Great.
Which we did. And I flew about 27 people to Thailand for 7 years, and the Philippines. And they stayed on 5-star luxury. And we shot them on a beach, wearing swimwear, beautiful swimwear calendar. Brilliant. And we did that. And we were the first country in the world to get rid of the swimwear off the stage. And other countries didn't understand why we did it. I mean, I remember the Aussie guys. I met them in Vegas. I think. Oh, bloody hell, mate! You're the bloke who took the fucking. You're the bloke who took the bloody bikinis off the stage. What'd you do that for? No one to watch. Which was interesting because, of course, more people watched than had ever watched before, and we were back on television, which had never happened to a territory that had gone off the television.
But what I love about that is you're taking them to Thailand, right? It looks good. It's shot amazingly. You've got all the best scenery in the world behind you. What? And nothing goes to chance. You don't look ridiculous. You look hot.
No,
It looks
but
great.
it cost an enormous, a great deal
Right,
of money.
okay. Yeah.
And we didn't make any money on the show for 7 years. But after the first one, we'd made a loss, and I could see a real potential, and I thought, this could work. But the reason I kept going was because the finalists, there were 20 or 25 in the first couple of years, and they all wrote emails, and they all said, "My God, we've had this great time. I wasn't confident at work, but now I'm delivering, speeches. I've just got a promotion, and I've left my job. I've moved on to this." And we realized that because we put this journey together for them, that it really was making a difference. This wasn't just to show up on the night sort of gig. And at the same time, we were raising money for charity because we worked with Variety, the children's charity. So after 7 years, we raised 220 grand for Variety, and it was worth it.
Fantastic.
Having said that, I got sick and tired of Miss Universe because they weren't moving.
Nigel, I've got a question for you. Did you,
Yes.
did you, Miss Universe, did any, were you professional?
Not Donald
I'm
Trump.
57 years old. People always say, "Oh, what a great job!" All those young girls. My ex and I were directors of the company, and we were never alone with a contestant. None of the team. The cameraman. None of them. No one's ever alone with a contestant. There are so many protocols we put in place, which I have to say a lot of other companies didn't bother with. We did, because that's the way it has to be.
But Nigel, you might not have touched the contestants or been professional, but they've all got mothers, and
Oh, well, sometimes, funnily enough, sometimes you get a contestant who said, "My mum was Miss Ekatahuna back in 1975 or whatever." The daughter always turns into the mother. Yes, I know. One does know that. But so, I mean, it was basically Miss Universe wasn't moving on. Internationally, the bikinis were getting smaller, and they just... Trump sold. I won't tell you the story about Trump selling, but basically, Trump. I've lost you there. Where am I still there?
Yep, you're there. You're good to go. Yep.
Oh, good. I'm there. Sorry, something popped up in front of me. Trump basically was got rid of. Well, I won't tell the story, but he went. IMG bought the business. IMG and William Morris from Trump because he was forced to sell it. And we all thought, wow, great, it's going to move on. IMG, they own Fashion Weeks. It's going to get great. But nothing changed. The management stayed the same. And I just thought, we're pushing it uphill here. No one's changing. They're just making this 1980s pageant. And we're making all these changes, and they're not. And it was really hard for me to sell that idea that we were doing anything different. However, Miss World, where I started my career in 1984 in the UK with the Morleys, I've always stayed friends with Julia and Eric Morley. Eric's died now, but Julia still is the president. And I just got in touch with them and said, look, we're going to give this one up. I'm going to come to London. Shall we talk? They said yes. We took over the license. So now... But of course, COVID has destroyed it.
Yes,
absolutely destroyed it. And the hard part of that, which a lot of people can't quite see why things get destroyed, when they think, "Hey, New Zealand's open, you could have staged it." Yeah, we could have probably slipped it in, but there have been so many lockdowns. If we were going to go for October, that would have been destroyed. But the issue is we can't send a contestant. So the winner, the finalists in Puerto Rico in December, even if we'd had a winner by now, we can't send them, because we can't get them back.
Right.
And you can imagine what it would be like,
What about an online?
Aging CEO sends 23-year-old beauty queen and leaves her in Puerto Rico to fend for herself. No, we're not going to. So we're relaunching in the next few weeks, and the competition will take place in March, April of next year. It will be bigger and better than ever, and we know by then that we will be able to send people overseas and bring them back.
Can we talk to you along the way? I mean, because I would love to have we're continuing on through past COVID, and we're streamers now, so this is what we're going to be doing in the evening. But I would love to talk more TV with you when you've got time.
Sure, absolutely.
So,
It'd be a pleasure. I've enjoyed it.
That'll be perfect. Excellent.
Nigel, you've got our transgender with Miss World. Are you is anything allowing that with Miss World at the moment? Our transgender, or our themes, or our people, our males that want to be females, like Laurel?
So the issue is always the international body. It's nothing to do with me. I have a rule where if we run a local competition, the person who wins the local competition must be allowed to compete overseas.
Yes.
Now, in Miss Universe, that was not a problem because in 2012 there was a court case, and Trump was taken to court by Canada, and that was never a problem. With Miss World, it's not a problem either. If you have, I think, if you're recognised as female by the country you live in, Miss World have no issue at all. But the issue actually is more contestants who want to enter. That's actually our problem, certainly here, is contestants who want to enter. And just because somebody is transgender doesn't mean they're going to enter and win. They may not have the criteria. They may be an absolute pain in the neck and not be able to be prepared to do the work. Yeah. I was asked, would I have a contestant in a wheelchair? Absolutely, I would have a contestant in a wheelchair. Yeah. Michelle, and people say to me, oh, wow, what's that? How would the international organization feel? I would say I don't care how they feel, because if I look at all of my, and they wouldn't have to have had an accident, they could have been born like that. But I look at my 7 winners we had in Miss Universe. What if one of them walked out tomorrow and had a terrible accident? Does that make them different? No. It still makes them the same person. Why wouldn't they be able to win? So
we've got a listener in a wheelchair, Michelle. She probably looked good at him. Let's see how she'd look. She's fantastic. What troubles me is organizers of events, organizers of drama, who constantly bang on about diversity and inclusivity, but actually do nothing. So we had a contestant in not the last Miss Universe, but I think 2018, who wears a hijab. Now, when she applied, I was like, okay, that's really, I've never seen anything like that before. She's Muslim. Is that what?
We went fine. Enter. She came 5th. She did really well. She ended up with 3 million followers on her social media. She got flown to Malaysia for an interview with CNN. She did a cover of Clio, and she's an extraordinary young woman. I produced a tribute for the Christchurch after the Christchurch massacre, and she came on and read. She's a poet, and she read a poem. Just an extraordinary young woman, and our competition was better for having her in it. It's not. It's just not about. Let me tell you, it's not about TNA, tits and arse. It's not about that. And in fact, and a really interesting thing, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying, is that many years ago, the president of Miss World said to the television network in the UK, "Can we just lose the whole swimwear? Getting it all out there." And back then they would say, "Oh, here's Paula from so-and-so, she's 36, 34, whatever." And the television executive said, "Oh, look, love, it's all about tits and ass. Come on." So you've got a situation where the organization wanted to move it along, but the television company was going, no, we're not going to do it. No way. I don't care when people call me, when they want to say it's PC. We've got the viewers, people watch it. When we went on Bravo, the first time we went on Bravo, it was their highest rating show for Saturday night. So,
I've got to thank you for your time, Nigel. I've got a couple of next guests waiting. I'd love to pick it up and talk to you about the next week, talk to you about telethon, the last telethon you produced, and go through the telethon stuff. I find that very interesting. And then also your take on streaming media. So we'll speak again next week. Thank you very much, Nigel.
Pleasure.
See you, Nigel.
Bye.
Thanks, Manny. See you soon. That was a great chat about telethon.
What an interview.
Gosh. Okay, we're going to be back after the break with our guests, everyone. Don't go away. They're a musical act, and I'm very excited about it.
Luke Dallow, inspirational businessman, South Auckland crate champ, architect, playwright, poet, and two-time heart attack survivor.
If I get to Christmas, I'm lucky.
Now, rising like a phoenix, Luke prepares for his next big fight. The Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover, raising money for Mental Health Awareness Week. Tune in to YouTube, Twitch or Facebook to watch this living legend sleep like a baby. The Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover, live stream this Friday from 10 p.m.
How you feeling about that, Luke? You confident?
Oh, I'm feeling fantastic now, mate. That's gone all over social media now. I'm getting left, right, and center.
Yes. Welcome to the show. We got Sulu there and Tish. How are you guys?
Good, thanks. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Hey, thank you for waiting and thank you for playing so late. We really appreciate it.
No worries.
Excellent.
Yeah, very excited.
Oh,
How are you?
Yeah.
How are you, Steve?
Yeah, good. Yeah, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
I love that name, Sulu. I love that name, Sulu. It's kind of like Star Trek. Is it the Star Trek Sulu?
Yep, it's exactly the same spelling. So yeah, I've had that whole Lieutenant Sulu thing.
Yeah. I get Luke Skywalker. I get Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, well, you used to probably. But hey, mate, where are you getting a haircut? Your haircut looks pretty sharp still. How's that happening?
I was quite lucky. For some reason I decided to get a haircut on the Tuesday, the day of the lockdown, just before the lockdown.
Wow,
so that's why it still looks fresh.
Fantastic. Yeah, looking great. And now, Tish, Stealing Beats. Work me through that. Tell me about the act. I'm very interested.
Great. So Steel & Beats is a steel band. I'm not sure if you've ever come across a steel band before. No. But basically we play instruments that are made out of oil drums, just like this. Originates from Trinidad and Tobago, so you'll be very familiar with that Caribbean sound. And yeah, 2008, mid-2018, I started Steel & Beats, and we've slowly been building up our band and our repertoire, and we're just really excited to be able to showcase what we do. We love the music. We love playing for everyone.
Yeah, cool. Sulu, are you guys doing covers or you've got originals? How does that work out?
It's a mix. So basically, like your typical pan music would be like calypso, soca music, but we play different styles. So we do a bit of Latin and also pop music. So just tunes that you wouldn't typically hear on pans. And I think we do a couple of Kiwi tracks as well. So we try and keep it a little bit different from normal.
I love that. Awesome. Well, you know what?
You also play the piano as well, do you, Tish?
What's that? Sorry?
You also play the piano as well.
I used to play the piano. I don't play it very well anymore, but I grew up and played piano at school, and I like to delve into a few instruments. So.
Let's look at your fingers. Let's have a look at your piano.
No, my fingers are terrible.
Hey, so you guys are going to play us a little something. Are you both in on this?
Well, it kind of, Sulu's there for my support. He usually plays the bass, but unfortunately the bass drums are too big for him to keep at home. Gotcha. But so I'll just jam a couple of tunes on my pan. Just a kind of a mix, just to hear the sound. But should I do it now or?
Yeah, that'll be good. Right. Your camera has frozen just a little bit. Is everyone else seeing that? Is your camera frozen?
No, we're all good. We're all good, Thane.
Oh, you're all good? Okay, great. Okay, so take it away, please. Steel & Beats, everybody. This is a steel pan, and it's very Caribbean-y in sound.
Tish, can I just stop you there?
Yeah.
Can I look at your drumsticks, please? Because I play the drums. I've never seen the.
Oh yeah. So these are what you call mallets.
Yep.
So these are like iron, aluminium, and it's got rubber tips.
Yes.
And they vary from different instruments in the steel pan orchestra. So the deeper the pan, the bigger the mallet will be.
Are they
So,
different weights? Are they different weights?
Yeah, potentially when you get to the bigger sized
Yes.
pans. Yeah, so these ones are quite light.
Yes.
But you do get various mallets that you can order in for different weights. Some pan players prefer different. They prefer different styles.
Yes, I just noticed those because I haven't seen those before. Sorry to stop the performance.
No, ask as many questions as you like. It's not often that we get to showcase or get asked too many questions. You know, in New Zealand, nobody really knows pan that much, so it's great to talk about it.
That's a very good question as well, Thane, because Thane, if I can take over there being a musician myself, can we just go, can you give us the tones of before you play? Can you give us the tones of, now what are we calling it? Not a drum, it's a
steel pan.
It's a steel pan. Well, a lot, the common name, people tend to refer to it as a steel drum, I guess because it's made out of an oil drum.
Yeah.
But essentially it's not really a drum, and it's, like that you can just bash. It's quite delicate. So the common name for it is a steel pan. Yeah. And the one that I play is the tenor. Yes. So this is the higher range of the orchestra. But then eventually, you get deeper sounding and lower octaves. And then you get the various voices in the orchestra. Eventually you'll get down to the bass. I mean, our group is about eight pan players, but like in Trinidad and Japan and the UK, they get up to 100 performers in an orchestra, and the sound is pretty amazing and boisterous, and it's incredible to see and to watch, and so it is quite a fascinating instrument, but the tones are quite different.
Go back to the pan. Back when they first developed it, they would have had a 40-gallon drum. Did they press it down to get the curve on it? Like press the top of the lid down to get the curve?
Yeah, well, eventually, because what happened really, it's like an instrument that's evolved. It didn't. No one really invented it, but it just, they've had pioneers that have evolved, and it's still evolving now. But it was developed by accident, where they took instruments in Trinidad and, like pots and pans, and used to hit them. And of course, from hitting them after a while, their tones changed. Yes. So they quickly realized that you can create different notes and play different songs. Right. And eventually, they've developed all these different voices of the instrument. But this one is set in a fourths and fifths.
Right.
Layouts. So there's a lot of various layouts in terms of the rest of the orchestra, and sometimes it's a bit confusing, because if we went to Australia and performed in Brisbane in 2019 at the Pans Fest, and we had to make sure that some of the bands there had the same layout as what we do, because once you learn your layout, obviously it's not like a guitar or a piano.
You know what? I can't take any more of the questions. I want to hear some steel pan, man. Come on.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do this. Thanks,
I've been
Luke.
practicing all day.
Okay, perfect.
One more question.
No more questions. Take it away.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear it. Can you hear that?
Yep, we got it.
Okay.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations. Hey, was that at the end there? Was it Oh What a Feeling dancing on the ceiling?
Oh, close.
What was
All
that?
night long.
All night long. That's right. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I
That
can't believe you get so many sounds out of that band.
Well, it's a fully chromatic instrument, so it's got, this one has 3 octaves, and so you can play any style on here, which is fantastic. So that's really cool for us because we have such a wide repertoire, and that's definitely one of the songs that we jam out at our events, and it's such a crowd pleaser because everybody knows the words and they just sing it out. It's very cool.
And it brings a lot of energy to a live performance, and you couple that with all the instruments, man, it's almost like a festival.
It is, and with the percussion as well. So we have all of our instruments, and then we have a percussion section too. So that just complements everything, and just it adds another level onto it. And yeah, so that's why we're very excited to have our event come up on November 27th at Anthology Lounge.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so it's been a venue we've been looking at for a while, and we were just really lucky to get a spot on that day. And yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, that we'll be out of lockdown by then.
That's a cross-finger. And Paul, are you part of the band too?
Me, yeah. So I'm the bass player. I'm the bass man. But before this band, I actually played bass guitar. So making the transition to bass drums, it wasn't too different. So with the bass drums, there's actually 6 drums, and each has 3 notes, and it's usually an octave on one of those. So you got the high and the low, and basically, yeah, the notes over 6 drums instead of the one which Tish has. So yeah.
Oh wow,
very cool.
I play the drums myself, and I've given those away now. Now I've ordered the double bass. I'm getting it in early March because I just want to learn the double. I reckon that's a beautiful instrument, the double bass. Sorry to digress there.
No, that's, instruments are so cool, and what's nice is that you can actually include those instruments in the steel band as well, because it's just the tones of the pans are so warm, and I mean, you find a lot of bands are actually including a lot of steel band or pans into their sound. And there's some incredible musicians out there that play, that are panists.
That's so true there, Thane. It is such a warm tone. That is the word I was trying to use. It is warm. It's not, it's beautiful. Did you ever play an instrument, Thane?
No, but I've always wanted to play like the piano or something like that, but I just
because of your fingers.
Yeah,
they're a bit stumpy.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what, guys? Can I just get your website? So it's at www.steelinbeats.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I want people to go and jump on that right away, because I reckon get a ticket to Anthology. Maybe we'll give a couple of tickets away closer to the event for you. Maybe we have you on to push it again.
Yeah,
but there's the website. Yeah. And also, I think people are looking for something a little different to go and have a party to. When you're released, you can go and see 660, you can go on, but go and see something different and unique, I reckon. And you guys are just a ticket.
Thanks. And that's it, that's what we find with ourselves. The crowd really, when they see it, first of all, they want to understand where the sound is coming from. They haven't seen us before or heard it. Only very few have here in New Zealand. So it's just something very cool. And, we offer like a lot of different grooves, and we try and delve into different genres as well. And it's going to be great because this event will be the second one that we've put on. Last year we did a called Still in the Sunset, which was quite cool. This one we've got Still in the Show, and we'll have a couple of announcements to make further down the track. We've got a couple of special guests included, so it's just going to be such a great gig on the 27th at
what about the show Men in Steel?
Oh, well,
Like-
you could include
like
that too.
We had a couple of strippers, the men and Steve.
Are you
Yeah.
gonna audition
He's
for
also
that?
a part-time stripper, Tish. So here he is.
The men and Steel.
Yeah, and you know what? I bet that double bass just hangs on his wall as a decoration, like all the other stuff he's got up there. Look at that.
But like
Anyway.
this one here, I've been sitting here for a year, haven't touched it.
Oh yeah. What is it?
Sits
What
there, right?
brand is it? What is it?
Classic.
Lieutenant, what brand is it?
Oh, it's brandless. I gave my my fretless Fender away to my nephew. He plays way better than me, so I was like, here you go, have this. It's
Very
just-
cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Hey, well, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. And we do want you to come again because, it's just a long lag till November and we want to push this gig for you.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much. It's really, really great to be on your show. And it's such a cool show. I loved it. Love
Oh,
watching
thank you
it.
very
So
much.
thank you.
Last question, Tish.
Last question.
Where's your surname from?
South Africa.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you pronounce that?
Yeah.
Viljoen.
Pardon?
Viljoen.
Viljoen.
Viljoen. Thank you.
Viljoen.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Dave.
Okay.
Thanks, Luke. Yeah.
See you again.
Bye.
Okay. See you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Wasn't that good? Love that. It was a really good little chat. Oh, so what? Luke's gone and he's there. Oh, Luke, come back. Luke, come back. We'll try and get Luke back on the show. Sorry about this. I accidentally got rid of the wrong guy. Back after this, everyone. Talkback with Thane and Sophia wants to put you in the draw for a box of Lover Pie pies. Here's the incentive. We want to grow this beautiful community. All you got to do is share the show. Share the show on Facebook. One share is one entry into a delicious box of Lover Pie pies that will draw this Friday. Okay, so hopefully Luke will be popping back to say goodnight. I just wanted to wrap a couple of things up by saying we are going to be doing this live broadcast on Friday, and on the stream you can donate money, and the money is going to Gumboot Friday. That's where we want to give it to Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover Friday from 10 p.m. And then if you're watching through Facebook, there's going to be methods for you to help donate. So we're going to do that. Pretty good show tonight. I'll just play you this because I'm very proud of this today. It took most of my day, actually. So.
Luke Dallow, inspirational businessman, South Auckland crate champ, architect, playwright, poet, and two-time heart attack survivor.
If I get to Christmas, I'm lucky.
Now, rising like a phoenix, Luke prepares for his next big fight. The Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover, raising money for Mental Health Awareness Week. Tune in to YouTube, Twitch or Facebook to watch this living legend sleep like a baby. The Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover, live streamed this Friday from 10 p.m.
And good on Luke for being such a good sport and raising some money. We've only set ourselves a realistic goal because this is our first time out betting like this of $1,000. And I'm so happy that our guys here, Go Tish, thank you. Kirsten, was it? Love the interview and the music, Tish. Memories. Thank you, Margaret, for your message. We're here every night from 9 o'clock, everyone. So, tell a friend, that type of thing. Incredible. Yeah, what a great video. Thank you very much, Selena. Well, Luke doesn't look like he's coming back. So I just want to say thank you You there, mate? I am there, Luke. Oh, hang on. He's just messaging me. I don't know if Sophia's listening, but can you tell Luke to jump back on the stream? We'd love to have you as a regular listener. We have got a little message here. Where is Benny? Benny did a no-show today. Usually he tells us where he is, but I don't know if Benny would be one of those guys that would be offended of what happened last night. If you missed last night, I asked everybody to use hand signals so we didn't talk over each other. Benny started calling it boomer racism, and that was the end of that. So, Benny hasn't come back to the show. So whether this is a gag or Benny's actually offended, I don't know. But, I'm just being Thane is waiting for you. Oh, there he is. Here we go. What are you watching now, mate? What's going on here?
Benny Hill. Benny Hill.
Who is he watching, Benny Hill? You remind me a little of Benny Hill, to be honest. Look at him.
It's our Benny Mack on.
Yeah, we're reaching out to Benny Mack tonight.
I lost you there, big guy. I lost you.
Yeah,
there.
so I accidentally let you out, which was my fault.
Where is
Sorry,
Benny?
boy. Don't know.
No show. You
No
put it
show.
sick- Well, no sick pay, is there? Sophia's got her sick pay in.
We signed off on that, but
Yeah.
no. So
Oh,
that's
maybe
not
he's got a date somewhere, eh?
Maybe he does.
Maybe he picked up one of the listeners.
Maybe he did. I don't know. I have no idea. But he's not made contact. Maybe it's one of those things like we're dealing with kids where you've got to make the first move. You know, you got to kind of like go, "Hey, mate, how are you?"
Because he was a bit pissed off after the show last night, wasn't he?
Yeah. Or she would just be pissed off and not be pissed off in a passive-aggressive way. Anyways, moving on. Most wanted tonight. Have you seen this guy? His name is Nugent. That's his last name. And here he is. This guy is wanted by the police. Can you guess what he's being done for?
Let's have a look at this one. Righty.
Have a look into his eyes. Holy moly.
Yeah, he says he's definitely got a drinking problem because his eyes are brown and the whites are brown. So that means normally drinking problems.
Yes.
How do you pronounce his name?
I think his name is Kong Nguyen. Nguyen? I don't know. I'm just going to call him Kong. I don't want to be disrespectful to him.
Right. I reckon he's done credit card fraud.
Credit card fraud.
That's all he's done. It's credit card fraud. He's nicked credit cards and he's gone to the bank tellers and, yep, he's done that. What do you think he's done?
I know what he's done.
Oh.
Do you want to know?
Yep.
He has done a serious driving offence. Careless driving.
And he's the most wanted.
He is the most wanted tonight in New Zealand. This is the guy, Kong. Quick look at our stolen property. Property 105. This is what cops have taken down a small group of people. And this is what now needs to be going back to its owners in the central CBD. Some luxury bags down there to the bottom right, some boots in the middle.
Give those away. That's Sophia's, isn't it?
And a couple of workshop stuff, and that was stolen from cars and also from work sites in the CBD. So if this looks like your stuff, guys, the hot tip is to call 105 and ask about that. Just doing my bit with the cops. You like that?
That's very good. We get paid by the cops. Let's go to a commercial break, you know?
Here we go. Let's play it again. Okay.
Luke Dallow, inspirational businessman, South Auckland crate champ, architect, playwright, poet, and two-time heart attack survivor.
If I get to Christmas, I'm lucky.
Now, rising like a phoenix, Luke prepares for his next big fight. The Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover, raising money for Mental Health Awareness Week. Tune in to YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook to watch this living legend sleep like a baby.
Yeah, I love it.
The Luke Dallow Celebrity Sleepover, live stream this Friday from 10 p.m.
You know, the thing, I made sure I didn't have any footage of you, so I used whatever I could find out on the internet there. And then also I put an old person in there, and I know you've got a thing for feet, so I made sure the feet were really highlighted. And what about that little clip? Oh, lucky if I make it to Christmas.
I just love it. You just did a really good job on editing that one, mate. I just couldn't stop. I was laughing, rolling, because I've had a busy day. I haven't had a look at Facebook all day, and if that popped up, that just made my day.
Oh,
thank you.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Thank you. Good show.
Okay, guys, that was a great show. We're back tomorrow from 9 o'clock. Also, we've got a Thursday. We've got a woman called Dana Youngman. She commissioned a TV show in the last lockdown featuring two people stuck at home making a show about their lockdown. And it's going to win it's been nominated for an international Emmy. So this woman Dana is the commissioner of all of Sky's entertainment. So she's a pretty big deal.
Okay, look forward to that.
She will join us. So which will be bloody good. And so from us, a very good night. Thank you very much, Luke. I'll see you soon.
See you later.